You just stand there for
Shut up.
Hey! No, you're not.
Okay, cool. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Know that before I usually do these things, I have a team behind me. People I've known for years and work with for several days before every project occurs, making it something that people want to come to go watch. Know that to strip me of my team today makes me not much left at all, actually. I'm just a person that leads other people these days. And there's no one to lead today. But, in my defense, you have backed me into a corner here, partner. You've said that this is the last project I need to do before I'm allowed to leave this school, and I will tear you apart unapologetically with my words. So for everyone I'm not terribly angry with today, my name is Jerrico Lopez. Welcome to my last presentation here at Doja Libby, my senior defense. Coming into Doja Libby Medical High School, I quickly realized how little I was actually prepared to get into college and succeed in future occupations. Over time, I grew as a productive citizen and good character by utilizing my growing ability to direct my friends in projects and efficiently communicating with them to solve issues and apply them to real-world scenarios, while also adapting to the growing need to create multimedia presentations that incorporated new technologies to present groundbreaking ideas. What does that mean at the beginning of all this? It means, well, I came into Doja Libby as a very green, innocent, and wide-eyed person, and hopefully I absorbed all the right characteristics of going to this school. My name is Jerrico Lopez. I was born December 15th, 1996. I'm 18 years old as of last December, and that is my mother. My mom has the biggest influence on my life, mostly because she taught me that you don't have to start well to get to a high place. We lived in Pittsburgh in my childhood, and she actually worked as a gas station clerk off the freeway at Tower Mart in Pittsburgh, and she worked these terrible hours every day, and she would bring me home and then have to go back to work. She showed me that you don't have to know exactly where you're going all the time. She wanted to be a dentist, but as she was getting her college education, she realized that she didn't like the sight of blood in her second year of education, so she flipped and became into accounting and banking, and she now runs her own team at Wells Fargo in Concord. I'm really proud of her. Oh God. So this is me as a much younger version of me. I've got some private pictures for you. Like, this is one of the first days I was here at Doja, and I'm rocking my super cool kitty scrubs. I actually ripped those the other day as I was trying to fit them on, so rip kitty scrubs. That's me as a much smaller, younger person. That's me on a swing set next to my cousin Kyle, my cousin Jazel, and my brother Jeremy. Jeremy's actually in this room somewhere. Kill him. Jazel's also attending this school, so you'll be able to see their senior defenses in a few years. And that's me next to Cassie, and although she does look rather beautiful, she pales in comparison to the kid wearing the cool Koshi shirt. Talking about my friends some more, I do have to talk about Squad for a moment. I don't exactly know when we called ourselves Squad. It's a terrible name. I like Misfit Island better. But it all refers to these people I've grown up with and worked with over the last few years, and my entire life, essentially. This is a very important person named Shaw. He's wearing the black tank top on top of Quan Scar. I don't know his first name, but I've got to know him over the last maybe 8 years. I met him in elementary school, and it's been fantastic to see someone who was essentially the same as me. We were both very goofy in elementary school, go through phases. He went through an Asgardian god phase, and I went through a skater phase in middle school. It's amazing to see where we are now, me being as whatever this is, and that Shaw is much more creative and unique than I am. And I'm going to miss these guys terribly in the fall when I have to leave. And I hope to know that I will answer their calls unless they're Gavin. Speaking about where I'll be in the fall, first know that my English teacher, for all of you who don't know, is Miss Kingsbury, and she did try her absolute best to get me into college. I just didn't want to write the essays though. Thankfully, I still did get into Sonoma State, San Francisco State, and Sacramento State. San Francisco has the magical allure of being the first college I ever went to, and I was walking around that campus, and there was an overlay of fog, and I was just extremely happy to be there. But it wasn't until I went to Sacramento State last year that I just knew, and hopefully the older people in the audience can understand that there's just some places where you know you want to be there. And I was walking around the entire campus, and I was just imagining myself getting an extra 4 years of education here and being extremely happy. So I did accept SAC's offer to have me come over there and join the nursing major, and I will be there in the fall, hopefully, if I pass calculus. I also hope to pursue my career in nursing. I always have had a fancy for the medical field ever since I met my pediatrician, Dr. Urbano. He's been an amazing man, and he's taught me that you don't treat people as numbers if you want respect, if you want them to care about you. You have to treat them as if they're human beings. I also want to pursue filmmaking because Buffy the Vampire Slayer was this show that I watched growing up, he got me. And I want to pursue filmmaking because I want to make stuff that makes people happy and entertain them. But how am I going to achieve my goals? Well, it's remembering the values that Doju taught me and entering the new age. Here we have my PowerPoint from 9th grade. It's a Good Eats PowerPoint. The Good Eats project was we were supposed to advertise how you are supposed to not have a lot of fast food. And this is a top of the line PowerPoint I made. We've got all the same font. We've got the words copycats and noobs, so very high class diction. And I really hate this PowerPoint because I don't feel like anyone who would read this would gather a lot of information. I feel like they would just glaze over it and just forget about it. That's not the point of a multimedia presentation. It's supposed to be additive to your presentation, not subtractive. So looking forward in my International Economic Summit, we'll see that I did grow in terms of someone who had to use new technology because we were in charge of improving the standards of living for Ireland. Ireland is actually a really good country. There's different ways you can improve the country by looking at the GDP per capita, which is a mathematical equation that uses the entire gross domestic product, all the goods made in a country's borders, divided by the amount of people who live there. Therefore, you can get essentially the monetary value of a person in that country. Thankfully, Ireland has a high GDP per capita, so we got to focus on the health equity issue known as Irish alcoholism. We were going to advocate for that topic and how to improve it by making the Palatine. A Palatine is essentially an upgraded, animated PowerPoint. And this was a completely new software that I had to get used to. It uses keyframe technology so that you know where each part is going every single second, and it's very annoying to use. I actually asked Juan if he could essentially create half of the Palatine with me so we were utilizing the most of our time. This is a new piece of technology, and it took me a long time to actually get used to, but I was actually very surprised at the amount of work and the information that it conveyed. Going into the future, whether or not I have to get used to using new software as a nurse, I'm going to have to ask questions and adapt to that situation as necessary. Another way I used technology over the last 4 years was during Project Eddie. Project Eddie was essentially a project where my team, Miguel, Rodriguez, Brandon, Alfred, and I, had to create a piece of technology that was going to better the lives of an underrepresented group. For us, it was one-handed filmmakers. We wanted to create a tripod-esque figure that was going to allow them to keep making their films. And we did this by letting Miguel do most of the work. Actually, I am the version that I am. I am a bossy, domineering leader, okay? And to finally step down and say, I can't do something, that was a huge step in my development. And allowing Miguel to essentially do the field that he was the most comfortable in was a great step for me becoming a new type of leader. As you see in this type of schematic that we have, Gladys is a tripod with a handle, and it works on several physics principles, especially Newton's first law, which states that every object in motion stays in motion. Gladys has wheels so that any filmmaker, regardless if they have one hand or two, can just push on her and she's easily to move to other places and get your shots. I know going up and becoming a nurse or becoming a filmmaker myself, I know I'll have to rely on other people, especially if I don't exactly know how a piece of technology works, and not be too shy or too scared to ask questions. The next field that we're going to be able to talk about is my ability to speak my mind. I'm right now in front of all of you talking to probably about 40 kids in here or something, and I'm not actually scared, I'm just scared of forgetting something. But if you look at me in the 9th grade, this is a blurb from my essay about euthanasia and whether or not euthanasia should be allowed in the country. What you'll note is this is mostly just rhetorical questions and it relies on pathos. That's not actually a very strong argument. You want to have concrete detail, you want to have logos and ethos in your arguments so that's very strong and that people can latch onto some parts and support you. If it's all emotional, then there's no in-depth answer and people will fall off if there's any loose holes in your argument. Contrasting that with a thing I did in the 11th grade, which was my practice interviews. This was all talking and all speaking, but it was speaking to a professional hirer or an employer that Dr. Soroka set up in the 11th grade for Help 3. And it was amazing to get to talk to someone who was actually supposed to hire people because it taught me that I need to present myself professionally and use eloquent diction succinctly to convey my ideas and show that I was worth hiring. We had to take a customer service course class that taught you how you should engage with other people, especially if they're not happy with you. And that was super important because it's so easy to think that I'm always right. My mind is the way we should go. But it's not. You have to share your perspective, and if it's not working, reach a compromise. The last strength I garnered over the last 4 years was this idea that leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. Okay, I am not the smartest person I know. I cannot optimize a piece of paper to have the most amount of words on it. I can't do that. What I can do is look at a rubric, find what the answer has to be, and enhance it to make it entertaining for the rest of you. That's what I do. I gather people around and I solve issues. So, okay, that was supposed to play. Come on, maybe it'll play. Oh no. It's not.
Click next.
Hold on.
Do you want me to pause on time? Pause on time.
Okay, well, it's cool, Marty. It's cool. I got it. One, I got it. Okay. Well, after that horrible derailing, this was going to be a small clip of me being very awkward on camera. What you were going to, no, I'm not even joking. What that was going to show was that this kid was actually very scared to tell people what to do in the 9th grade. He was someone that was fearing of people's judgment and afraid to speak his mind because he thought people were going to call him an idiot or just think his plans were stupid. What I failed to do as a leader in this scenario, which was the advocacy project in 9th grade, where we were supposed to take a topic, research it, and then teach kids through it through using technology. We had type 2 diabetes, which is a health-related issue in which having too much sugar and glucose in the blood causes a high raising of blood sugar levels and causes type 2 diabetes. What I failed to do in this project was specialize and tell people exactly what I wanted them to do. Not exactly micromanage, but make sure that everyone was being utilized. As a leader and growing up, possibly as a nurse or maybe my own doctor, I need to make sure that if I'm a part of a team or if I'm leading a team in the hospital, for example, that I'm making sure that everyone has a job and is feeling necessary. Because when people feel necessary and useful, they do their best work. Contrasting that with a project I did in the 12th grade known as Much Ado About Nothing, I was ecstatic to do this project because I've actually seen this play happen a few times. The whole goal was to recreate a play, essentially, that William Shakespeare did, and I got to do Much Ado About Nothing. What I did was assemble the most amount of people I've ever worked with. We've got Alicia, Brandon, Miguel, Gavin, Shaw, and Kwan. And I was happy to bring these people together, not necessarily all because they're my friends, but because I knew I could put them to work and solve the issue of how do we make the best type of Shakespeare project ever. What I did was make sure that people were specialized, like Gavin, Shaw, and Brandon all had the hardest roles and most lines so that they could handle the work. While Kwan, who was essentially an assistant director, because there were some times when I was just swamped with work and I had to adapt to this technological problem we were having where we had essentially 66 gigabytes of film to work with, and I had to shift that between my laptop and delete all my super important movies and make sure that there was space for the laptop. This was a much better example of me being a leader because I made sure that everyone had a role, and going forward I also resolved a lot of conflict. Okay, don't let this picture dissuade you. I solved a lot of conflicts on set. Bringing all these people together with these conflicting personalities was kind of like the Avengers. There could have been a lot of friction and arguments on set, but what I was able to do was resolve conflicts and make sure that everyone felt like they were doing something important so that no one felt confused or like their time was being wasted, except Alicia, who had to sit around a lot himself. Coming back to my thesis then, coming into Dozier Libre Medical High School, I quickly realized that I was actually very little prepared to get into college and succeed in future occupations. Over time, I grew as a productive citizen and good character by utilizing my growing ability to direct my friends in projects and efficiently communicating with them to solve creative issues and apply them to real-world scenarios while also adapting to the growing need to create multimedia presentations that incorporated new technologies to present groundbreaking ideas. What does that mean at the end of all this? It means that I'm ready for whatever the world wants to throw at me and pretend that it's being original. It's a weird thought to know that an institution you love has done everything that it can for you. But here at Dozier Libre, they throw the entire gauntlet at you and then some. For anyone who hasn't been here long enough, you will learn everything you need to know. And it's up to you at the very end to be worthy of everything that it offered, to take the hammer of Dozier's values and go forward into the world and be worth it. Make something of yourself and make all the teachers who are always going to be here so it's easy to find them proud. I know you can do it, and I'll do it too. I think I've just about covered all the academics, and anything I missed you'll ask me anyway. So if I could just take a moment to talk to you all for, seriously, just look at me. I look at the faces in this room, especially those of my Dozier Libre seniors, and I want you to know something. Good job. Not everyone will tell you that, and I'm sorry. Sometimes you do this amazing, creative, brilliant work, and it isn't noticed. You want your teachers and you want your parents to know what you did. And they liken it to when you were, or when they were 10 or 15 years ago in high school, and it's not the same. You want them to say the words, "I'm proud of you," and it doesn't happen. But I'm proud of you. And I want you to know your class is proud of you. The class of 2015 is not a close class, yes, but we are all extremely similar. We all have the same bags under our eyes, and we are all doomed when it comes to chemistry knowledge. And we all shudder spiritually when someone mentions the words integrated project. Know that when you go off into the world, you find solace in the people you struggle with. I look at the faces in this room, especially those who have given it their all the last 4 years, and I want you to know, prepare to take a great leap forward. Prepare to take on more work than you've ever taken on in your entire life and lose more sleep than you've ever lost. Prepare to feel as if your entire world is in this isolated bubble as you tell your friends, "I'm sorry, I can't go out on this 4th Friday night in a row, I'm studying." Prepare to feel as if your entire world is crashing and burning sometimes, and then prepare to rise from those ashes and drown in success. Because, my friends, I am telling you, if you remember the pillars of success that were taught to you at this school, and you remember your dream, then achievement is waiting for you out there. It will not be easy to find, and it will take a long time to get to for some of us, but it will be there. You are defined by what you are going to be within the next 10 years. Make yourself proud. Going to Dojo Libby was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was the best decision my mom ever made for me. I learned that every person, no matter how shy you are, can become someone that does this as their last presentation. I learned that you don't have to know exactly where you're going in the future, but if you arm yourself with the right tools, you can achieve anything. I learned what I wanted to learn about and how to learn about it for the rest of my life. I learned that it's time to go, because Dojo Libby, it's just the starting point. Thank you all for everything.